South Africa will be temporarily without its elected head of state from tomorrow. This as President Cyril Ramaphosa has departed for Kananakis in Canada, where he will be attending the G7 Outreach Summit at the invitation of Prime Minister Mark Carney. Discussions with outreach partners will focus on the future of energy security, including diversification, technology infrastructure and investment to ensure access and affordability in a changing world. Ramaphosa is expected to share South Africa's state of readiness to host the G20 later on this year.
Was added to the G7 group of industrialized countries in 1976. In 1997, Russia joined, and this led to the group becoming the G8 Intergovernmental Political Forum from 1997 to 2014. In 2014, Russia was expelled after the annexation of Crimea. While South Africa was not a member of the G8, former presidents received constant invitations from the G8 hosts, as well as during former South African President Thabo Mbeki's tenure. It then became a tradition for a sitting South African president to get an invitation from the G8. Former President Jacob Zuma attended the meeting in 2009. Later, no invitation was extended to South Africa. The group revived this tradition by inviting President Cyril Ramaphosa to attend the G7 in 2018.
We've said to the G7 countries that they need to live up to the commitments that they made in Paris, that they need to create a fund which the developing countries can utilize to transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy.
He was also invited to this month's gathering. As the current president of the G20, President Ramaphosa will attend the G7 Leaders Summit in Canada this weekend. He is expected to brief the leaders of the powerful group on state of preparations for the G20 meeting. This is an overlap between G7 and G20, as members of the G7 are also members of G20.
Is there a plan to meet with President Trump? At this stage, both teams in the presidency and DECO are working on a schedule for bilateral meetings. And so it's still early to say which meetings the president will have and will not be able to have in that regard. As we get closer to the G7 summit, hopefully we'll be able to share the president's schedule with respect to bilateral meetings. Suffice to say, the meeting at the White House is quite recent and it was quite comprehensive. I'll imagine there's no real pressure for the president to push for that meeting, because that's a recent meeting. What will be important will be for President Ramaphosa to give himself time to meet other G7 leaders and sort of align the G7 with our G20 theme during the course of South Africa's presidency of the G20.
The President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, is also expected to attend the G7 meeting in Canada. Sophie Mkwena, SABC News, Johannesburg.